Hello and welcome everybody. Josh the RV Nerd of Bish's RV down here at Grand Design in Middlebury again today, getting you some updated footage of a handful of models. Today is the smallest and lightest and easiest towing of the Tandem Axle Imagine series. So if you kind of like what they're putting together and you have a limited tow capacity vehicle, but you're like, I get spooked by the idea of single axle towing, like if I have a blowout, is this thing gonna get out of control on me? That's exactly where this one comes in right here. And it's a floor plan that originated with Imagine and has been copied by a bunch of other brands. So what is it about this one that is so enticing to people? The fact that it is so small and so towable, yet provides such a nice living experience for this size. I don't know that there's an RV that gives you a better kitchen. The amount of countertop prep space that is very functional and all of the storage that exists in this tiny little camper, I think is terribly impressive. Now this year they've done things like changed over off the Lippert chassis to the Norco huck bolted frame. They've maintained the Goodyear tires. They are TPMS prepped if you want to monitor your tire pressure while you're going down the road. They also have standardized the anti-lock braking safety system on this. So this is a small camper that is nicely fit for towing and going. It's got a great extended season weather package. They bumped up the solar package a little bit this year to give you a little bit better battery tending, and just overall just kind of tweaked it up, dialed it up a little bit. They made some, interior decor enhancements, a few things like I'm really glad they got rid of the blue light special that was going on above the Murphy bed for a while. But trying to be fair, tell you the good with the bed. This is a bendy bed Murphy bed with a 75-inch length. It's not a true queen length bed, but all of that is a result of the fact that they have intentionally built this to be as short and compact on two axles as possible. So there's things about this RV you might not like, but there's things that it also does extremely well, and giving you good with the bad's what we're gonna do today. And if you appreciate that, hit that subscribe button. Let's get in there. In this little box right here, this is definitely one of those situations where if I used a fisheye, crazy wide angle camera lens, it would look absolutely massive. You'd be like, I can't believe this barely 20+ foot camper has all this space. But I really don't like misrepresenting things like that. We're going to look at everything in just straight flat lens mode today. And it might mean that it doesn't look as big and grand as it otherwise could, but it also means this is going to be far more what it looks like to the naked eye. So if you go to see one of these in person, I don't think you're going to feel like it was oversold or misrepresented or anything like that. If I'm not mistaken, I believe you could option either like a hide-a-bed or a dinette or something like that over here in the slide. Do me a favor on that. Double check with our local team members. If that's something you're interested in and or curious about, let us know. If Imagine doesn't allow that, I know that we have other builders that do, because this is a very popular layout. Down in the video description, you'll see where I'll leave you links to other builders who make a very similar offering here, by the way. They all have their own advantages and drawbacks. Like, Imagine's very good about giving us maximum windows that all open for airflow, but I really like what they did with their window treatments this year. I'm not going to lie. This is something I have been asking to apply to Bish's own Go Explore series of exclusive RVs. The way that they've covered their blackout roller shades, I really like that. And it's not just a cheap plastic. It's actually something metallic. It's something that just feels nice and substantial. And there are like 37 little examples of just a small, simple, what I think is superior upgrade like that on this camper, that they all add up, and they all add up to a couple extra dollars, and I think a superior experience. But Imagine has never, and likely will never be, the least expensive series of campers out there. But there's a lot of people that have been very, very happy with them over the years. Up top here, we have that larger air conditioner, but also centralized. Even though this is a small, primarily single cabin camper that a lot of brands would try to save a buck and not centralize the air on, they have maintained the centrally ducted air on this to really kind of maximize your comfort and ownership experience. But this right here, I think, is really one of the major, just awesome points of this camper. I've talked to so many people that are like, I want small, I want light, I don't want single axle, I want lots of countertop space, and this floor plan gives it to us in spades right here. And you might notice the campside window coverage on this. Give me a minute and I'm gonna actually plop down over on the theater seat to give you a good view of that. But especially if you factor in and consider the stove cover and the sink cover function space, This thing is awesome. Now, it's got a weird chunk of countertop space in the back, but if you look above, you can see that black power outlet in the upper right corner right there. That makes this absolutely awesome for like coffee makers, air fryers, etc. This can be a very useful space where if you fill in the depth with an appliance, it suddenly becomes easy to reach and not a problem, you know? What do you think of these Glow Saber light beams? Imagine was one of the first brands to adopt them. And the thing is, Imagine is a very popular, massively influential brand. And when Imagine does something, a lot of other builders tend to start copying it. But like, I'm starting to see people, I almost feel like getting the lightsaber fatigue. They're like, I don't know if I'm into the whole Tron lighting package anymore, but some people really like it. They are dimmable for what it's worth. There was a brief period where Imagine was using a like a white-yellow color change light to sort of warm up the decor if you preferred that, but they've gone away from that. They were having a little bit of trouble with it, and you know, if they're having trouble with something, they just tend to kill it, you know. They did opt over here for 100% maximum storage across from the sofa, which means no Tootsie Toaster, no fireplace or whatever, but it also means more storage. Some people like a fireplace, everybody likes storage, and we have different builders with different equipment packages to get you how you want. That is a TCL Roku Smart TV, by the way, and because I walked into the camper, I still have the entry door wide open. Let me try to get you up here around the corner. I'm trying to move slow. I don't like to make people motion sick. You might actually notice how it does have a full viewing window, but with the bottom to top privacy shade on it. And because they're running the laminated walls, and they're only 1.5 inches thick, they don't get a chance to like put power outlets in the walls, which would be preferable. So they put a wireless phone charge pad that pops up to give us a pair of USB plugs right down here at counter level. And being right next to the door, that's probably where I would keep like a phone or something like that, so that I didn't have to have my phone in my pocket the whole time, because like, I'm camping, man. I don't want the phone in my pocket the whole time. We also, of course, have the 60 by 75 inch Murphy bed up front here, and I might need to bust you over to the realm of wide angle mode that I don't like, just to be able to showcase this for you. So yeah, we're in full on 0.5 fisheye wide angle lens mode here, but we're straight on enough. I don't think it's distorting the space too awful much. One thing I do like about this, it has what I call the simulated cinema seat. I like my alliteration, if you hadn't noticed, like the Fajita Friday fume fighting fart fan. I just think that stuff is fun because I'm stupid and I'm basically a big kid. But we have a couple drink holders over here. One of the things is their Murphy sofa arrangement maintains these side stands, and they're dinner plate size, which I like. I am this person who, I get so excited to get my food. I'm like, yay, yay. Like oh God, what was that? Like Hercules, the Eddie Murphy movie there. Like, I grab my plate and I sit down and I'm like, oh, I don't even have a fork or a napkin, and I left my drink sitting on the counter. So I prefer a place where I can set down a plate or a drink or whatever. You probably don't care about that. Most builders will have a traditional jackknife sofa where this lifts up, but you'll feel that this is very sturdy. This actually rolls over, and it's a different kind of sleeper sofa. Like, Rockwood's done a little of this over the years. The thing is, this end over here, when this is rolled over, you don't want to just sit on this. But if you flip down this Murphy sofa, which this is not gas threaded, but it's also not hard to do by any means. When you're doing this, because it has the actual bed deck under it, it's dispersing any sort of stress all over the place. So although you shouldn't sit on the end of the sofa alone, sitting on the end of the bed on its own, really not a big deal. This is a bendy bed, which is not necessarily my favorite execution of a Murphy bed, and it is a 75-inch mattress, not an 80-inch. So I have a no shoes on the furniture policy, but because I'm a little over 6 foot tall, I don't have to take my shoes off to lay down on this Murphy bed. So my head's just below the padded headboard right here, which I think is a normal organic position, you know, to be sitting in or something like that. But it is a short queen. But it's because this whole camper was built to be as short and small as possible on tandem axles, that this was what was required to make it happen. If you're like, I don't care for that. I don't like that. Take a look at like a 22 MLE. It's a little bit longer, but just has a true queen bed all day, every day. Now, the good news is you can see my chicken arms over here. And somebody said one time, chickens don't have arms! Because, you know, it doesn't matter what I say in these videos. Sometimes I think people watch a 30-minute video just looking for the one thing to criticize. So, you're right. Chickens don't have arms. I guess we should call them, like, people wings. Now, back to the world of standard human vision instead of the, you know, the fly with compound eyes kind of view of things. There's the floating Dinofa table that we saw in our early floor plan in a flash, as well as we're going to see it again outside. But when you're going down the road, somebody might ask, where does that go? It, like, if you lay it up here in basically the headboard area and then you close the Murphy bed, which is required to close the slide out, as we'll see in road mode in a minute, that gives you the perfect place to store that, basically, so it doesn't go jiggle banging all over the place in the camper. You see those kind of CPAP-sized headboard power pockets with the household and the USB plugs, and both sides of the bed have a hanging closet as well as a big and little dresser drawer. So around the bed area, they actually, I think, have some pretty decent storage. The thing is, we haven't actually seen all of that yet because they still maintain some underbed storage below the Murphy, because they do an excellent job of just using all the space around this thing. Notice those power outlets down by the floor. It's not my favorite location for them, but it's easy to miss that there are at least outlets on both sides of the bed. You don't necessarily have to fold the Murphy bed down to get to some. They also are really good about making storage come to you instead of you digging for the storage, you know. As we wrap our way around over here, taking a look at all the kitchen storage space, want to give you just an idea. I never know how to really effectively show you how big these cabinets are, but like they have basically the two drawers that are under the bed, they have like 3 more of those over here in the kitchen. So instead of a fireplace, you are gaining a ton of potential storage. Did you catch that motion light that kicked on, by the way? It's just it's a small thing, but it's just one of those handy little details that when you walk in the door, there's a little, hey, welcome back kind of light, you know? There's not necessarily a dedicated wastebasket space in this floor plan. That's one of my little things that I'm always kind of on the hunt for, personally. And by the way, the TV can pivot around for some, if you want to do some evening, nighttime viewing. The cabinetry, by the way, is all pocket screwed and lumber core. But the thing is, like, so far we've only seen like half of the kitchen storage. The trick is some of this is kind of a little bit tricky to capture on camera, and it's a lot easier to see in person. Like these corner cabinets over here, this is a good instance of no space gone to waste, but it is a trickier space to be able to sort of navigate and, come here, utilize. So you're going to want to put some stuff back there that's going to be easy to reach. You don't want to put little cans of Campbell's soup in the back that are going to be about impossible to reach back there. Like, I'm tall, I got long arms, and if you're not careful, even some of that stuff could kind of be a little bit difficult to access to me. I do also want to mention, you're going to have to be half cognizant about the fact, but if you have the kitchen drawers open, you could hit them with the refrigerator. But I think any person standing in front of it is going to organically realize that. I don't really consider that a knock against the RV. I suppose if you had one of those Walmart bag-sized trash cans, you might be able to put one right there above that floor heat vent. And then moving on from here, you might have noticed, again, there are no heat vents in the floor, so that's easy. The converter fuse box is over here in this corner, which is nice that it's out of the way, but if you need it, it's also very easy to access. Working our way around the corner over here, the bathroom, because they try to really pack as much storage in as possible, it feels a little bit tight, but this isn't the worst I've encountered. If you notice, it's a little tight around my legs. It's a little tight in terms of elbow room. I'm somebody who's over 200 pounds and over 6 foot tall. And the thing is, I would say that toilet space is adequate. Is it the biggest, largest toilet space I've ever seen? No, but I don't think it's necessarily insufficient by any means. By the way, not a cheap plastic sink. That's actually a, I believe it's called stone cast coated sink, which is like exceptionally heat and impact resistant. They also have a nice rectangular shower in here. It does have one of those kind of, let me get my hand on it, retractable sort of shower door jobs over here. The camper is 6.5 foot tall from floor to ceiling, though. What that means is that when I stand in the shower, a little bit over 6 foot tall, my head is absolutely up in the bubble. And this is a brand that has continued to utilize the dollar store 4-inch fart fan. If you want to upgrade that, though, the dollar for dollar, pound for pound, best way to do that for my money is a brand called Hengs, Hengs. Their Vortex series gives you a big fan for a fraction of the price of a Max Air. Now, I still think that a Max Air vent fan is the actual best variety out there. Thank you, Casper the Ghost, for using the force and closing that. But for the money, I'll put a Hengs fan in myself every single time. Down below the sink here, a couple things. That could be a nice little spot for like a little bathroom wastebasket, but you also get to see the updated PEX on PEX plumbing that we're looking at right there. And that, by the way, is a porcelain foot flush stool. Now, I think we've pretty much covered all the interior stuff here. One thing that we haven't done necessarily is taking a look at this thing in travel and road mode. And I think the best way I can describe this one is that it's perfectly suited for traveling stopovers, but it just doesn't necessarily work for a traveling stayover because they built it as short and light as possible to, to keep the total length down in check and to keep the weight down. They had to really squish the Murphy sofa back as close to the slide as possible. So when that slide is closed, you just literally cannot get the bed open. You just can't. However, if what you need to do is stop, wash your hands, grab a bite to eat, use the bathroom, that stuff is very functional and very readily available. So if you appreciate the extra little details and the road mode look in the storage there, hit that subscribe button. Let's hop outdoors and talk towing. And once again, taking a look at the weights and measures here, you see that you do not need some kind of giganto monster machine to yank this around. A lot of times, the phrase half-ton towing gets very used and abused out there in the industry because there are a lot of lighter duty half-tons that are not fit to handle a lot of travel trailers, and that's where this one comes in right here. Like if you don't have the super heavy duty half ton, if you have a half ton that is more like it has better miles per gallon rating because of its gear ratios, this is a camper that actually can work very nicely for you where you don't necessarily need to upgrade your vehicle, but you can still get the better confidence and peace of mind in the tandem axle towing, but with an RV that's not so long that it's hard to park, hard to yank around. Like it's just a very easy to manage size. Now, I always like to, show you the good with the bad. With the Murphy bed arrangement that they have here, because it's a bendy bed, they have maintained a full pass-through. Well, a side-to-side pass-through. Part of the Murphy bed, where the drawers are located, they do eat into the pass-through a little bit. So just being fair here. You see that white sticker down there telling you that this is inverter prepped. It is wired for up to a 2,000 watt inverter if you want to run some of the household outlets off just battery power. Understand you're going to eat your batteries faster when you do that. You also see how they got rid of all of the carpeting, the felt kind of liner stuff in this pass-through. That's one of those things that costs a couple extra dollars on the price tag that you're looking to pay on this thing right here. But it also keeps that musty, moldy mildew smell out of your camper. They have also maintained an enclosed docking center over here. Let's dive into this a little bit. Up top here, you got your solar charge controller. Now, it's not as easy to always monitor that when it's in the pass-through compartment, but for a service purpose, it's much, much easier for technicians to do any kind of service work you might need on that. You may also notice those two red keys, one of them kind of dangling down. Those are your solar disconnects, or rather battery disconnects. One disconnects the solar package and then one disconnects the battery. The idea there being, if the RV's in storage and it's parked in the sun, you can disconnect the house from the battery and still allow the solar package to service and maintain your battery. What you're looking at here basically is the correct way of doing it. It's an extra thing that a lot of other manufacturers still do not provide. Again, I like to be fair. I don't know that I love the half open face docking center, but it's not the worst thing that I've seen. As I mentioned when the video began, they changed up their chassis this year. They moved off the traditional Lippert chassis that these had been running on for a while and moved into the Norco huck-bolted frame, but they have maintained that 1+3+5 year warranty on these. So 1-year full RV warranty, 3-year structural, 5-year frame warranty on all of your Grand Designs, whether it's an Imagine, a Transcend, a Reflection, a whatever, you get the idea, all of them. Now, on the XLS and the AIM series, they don't do those fold-down stable steps. You see that they've got the skirt-mounted steps below the entry door, unless the floor plan requires them, because like sometimes if the door is directly over the wheel well, they have to go to the other steps. But what they've done here is gone to kind of the aluminum anti-slip sort of boat dock kind of steps that you have right here. And I don't boondock dry camp, really. I park camp, I'm a little pavement princess like that. I'm told that for boondocking scenarios, these steps that we're looking at are generally preferred by folks. So hopefully that's useful information. Also, belly-mounted spare tire. Sometimes I don't show that and people go, what do you mean? No spare tire on this? No, it has a spare. It's just belly-mounted. Let's work our way over here. The Goodyear Endurance radials making another comeback for the 25 season. There are some companies who have been running Goodyears that have moved off of them in the past few seasons. And, you know, it's funny. They always tell you when they upgrade to Goodyears, but they don't tell you when they upgrade off of Goodyears. And Imagine has maintained these. You see the red, you know, brake drums and whatnot on there? Those are, that's telling us that this is outfitted with a factory anti-lock braking system, ABS system, factory standard on these. You might also notice you see that black tube kind of sticking down between the tires and the steps. That's your sewer hose tube, so that when you know, you have everything in storage, you don't have to mix your black tank stuff with your camping stuff, because that's a good way to get pink eye, and that's a good way to get stink eye from the neighbors. You know, for no bigger than this camper is, it actually has a pretty respectable awning space now that I'm looking at it here. That's something that Grand Design's actually very good at, especially on the Imagine family of campers, really maximizing the patio awning space. Now, in our early flyby floor plan in a flash footage, we saw this table sitting in front of the sofa, creating a Dinofa opportunity. Nothing says you have to use it just indoors, though. It actually has multiple height adjustments on here. You see where that little silver peg is on the leg? If you look very, very closely, you can actually see how it has multiple height setting adjustments. If you want this thing to be desk level, dining table level, coffee table level, or even, what's the last one I haven't mentioned? Countertop level? I don't think I mentioned that. Basically, you can use it a multitude of different ways. Although, if you're gonna bring it outside, you obviously need to have, you know, pretty flat level ground to be able to do that. Working our way around here, tankless on-demand water heater. And in a floor plan like this, the water heater's right next to the sink and the shower. So you're not gonna waste a bunch of time and water into your gray tank waiting for that hot water to start coming out of where you want it. 250-pound rated accessory hitch on the back, also great for little bike racks, or a light-duty cargo tray if you want to add like a generator or something like that hanging off the back of this thing. This floor plan also, since like all the plumbing is in the back, it's very easy for this to have a single sewer outlet, so you don't have to do that like multiple hookup, get a Y splitter, poop, scoop, boogie kind of situation. Everything is just simple, easy, and that sewer outlet is well behind the tires, so it is not blocked off by the slide and not annoying or difficult to handle. Now, sometimes people go, you know, can I put slide awnings on this? Slide awnings are something that you could apply to RVs for years. Keep in mind, though, if the manufacturer doesn't provide them, the manufacturer's warranty just doesn't cover them. They only warrant the work that they do. So make sure you have a dealer who's going to stand behind their work. And look on the face of this slide out. One of the things that people said is they weren't really feeling super confident about the Schwintek slides anymore. So Imagine said, no sweat. We're going to get rid of those things. They no longer use any Schwintek slides to my knowledge. Anything that was a Schwintek slide, they have swapped over to this new slim rack style. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that slide system can allow you to sit in and occupy the slide while it is closed. Now, I'm still actually trying to get some verification of that from a couple key people. So as always, I can't, I'm telling you, use common sense. And don't try to do the atomic leg drop off the top rope with this thing right here. That's just, I mean, no RV slide's really made for silly stuff like that. You get the idea, but always use common sense, all right? So thanks again for tuning in, everybody. As I always do, I'll leave you a link in the video description to double check MSRP and availability. Very often in the case of Grand Design RVs, our actual discounted everyday sale price is lower than what we are allowed to publish with them. Normally you'll see in most of our brands that's not a trick, but these guys have a little bit of a different pricing policy from the factory level. So you can get maybe a loose idea, but our local people can always get you our actual price. And remember, we don't charge hidden dealer fees. We don't have prep fees and get ready fees and go camping fees. We also don't even charge, like every single year, if you buy an RV from us, new or used, every single year we will winterize that RV for you, perform a quick little surface level inspection before you put it away for the winter. You also get your first year of our RV Fix mobile telehealth for campers service included at the published price tag. We don't charge you extra for all this stuff. So keep in mind, there's more to it than just the published MSRP that you might see. And if you appreciate how we do those things for you, or take the time to set up the Murphy beds and close the slides and open the storage and all the extra stuff that literally doubles the amount of time it takes to put these videos together, hit that subscribe button if you're new with us, and we'll keep doing it every single time. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.